Having good throttle application is often what separates good riders from great riders. Correct throttle application in a corner helps settle the chassis and the suspension of the motorcycle down. So this week on MC Rider, we're going to talk about throttle control and throttle application in the corners. This will be the final episode in our Fundamental of Cornering series. We started with episode 14. We talked about slowing to your entry speed. Episode 15, we talked about looking through the corners. Episode 16, we talked about pressing on the hand grip or using counter steering to get around the corner. In this episode, we're going to talk about throttle control and throttle application in the corners. So why does rolling on the throttle in the corner matter? A lot of riders mistake the throttle as just the control that makes the motorcycle go faster, when in fact it has as much to do with the suspension of the bike as it does the application of speed. So rolling on or maintaining the throttle in the corner helps balance the suspension of the bike out, helps you get through the corner smoother with more control and more predictable results. The suspension of your motorcycle works best when it's in the middle of its range. That allows 50% available for dips in the road and 50% of your suspension travel available for bumps in the road. Rolling on the throttle helps keep the motorcycle in that balanced position and that front and rear shocks in that 50% range as you negotiate the corner. So let's define a couple of terms here when we're talking about throttle application. Maintenance throttle and acceleration throttle. Maintenance throttle is just enough throttle to help keep the suspension balanced, but in fact the motorcycle may be slowing down a bit. With acceleration throttle, we're talking about smooth application of the throttle so that the motorcycle is smoothly accelerating. So when we talk about rolling on the throttle in the corner, how much acceleration are we actually talking about? Well, the answer to that, it depends. For a sharper corner, it's going to be less throttle. For a wider corner, there's going to be a greater application of throttle to the motorcycle. Let's look at a corner and go through our fundamentals of cornering. You can see that I slow to my entry speed, and then I'm looking in the direction I want the motorcycle to go. I'm pressing on the hand grip to initiate lean, and then I'm rolling on the throttle. At first I'm using maintenance throttle. As I reach the apex or the middle of the corner, I begin to accelerate smoothly through the remainder of the corner. So you can see how being smooth on the throttle can pay huge dividends in your ability to negotiate a corner. So here's how you can begin to develop smooth throttle control. Find a deserted, straight stretch of road and roll off the throttle, closing it completely. Then gently roll back on the throttle for some maintenance throttle, but in fact the motorcycle is still slowing down, but you're applying just enough throttle to help take up that slack in your drivetrain. This will help you develop a feel for good throttle control, allowing you to get to that maintenance throttle and smooth application of the acceleration throttle the next time you're in a corner. So this concludes our cornering series. We started with episode 14. We went through slow, look, press, and roll. And go back and watch those other episodes if you haven't seen those. But remember, each step has its own techniques and things that you can work on. But when they're developed as a whole, that slow, look, press, and roll technique is going to help you negotiate your corners smoother and safer out on the road. Next week, we're going to take a break from our cornering episodes, and we're going to talk about an avoidance technique that may very well save your neck out on the streets. So until then, guys, it's Kevin with MC Rider, and we'll see you on the road.